Hi, Harvey. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast called I Didn't Sign Up for This. And you are known to the world as Dr. GPT. Tell us a little bit about where that name came from.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, honor to be here. Thank you for your time. And what's really interesting is in the year 22, when ChatGPT literally was released, within 5 minutes, I decided I'm going to write a book. How do we use ChatGPT in healthcare? And as a result, I started being asked to speak around the world. And in one of those world stages, someone in the audience came up to me and said, God, you're kind of like this Dr. GPT. And I thought, ooh, I kind of like that. And so then I started hashtagging everything. I started branding everything. I started getting a trademark, putting it on my books. And I got this little pin that said Dr. GPT. And every time I speak, I always wear it.
I love that. Tell us a little bit about prior to that, because you are a medical doctor and that was your life up until this season of change, which has been really propelling in your life. So tell me about your life before that.
I've always called myself this kind of nutty professor. Anytime I see anything that needs to be done, if I'm passionate about it, if I think it's the right thing, that's just who I want to do and what I want to be. And so prior to that, I was working in the emergency room. I was really passionate about emergency medicine at the hospital level. And then I realized for me personally, it wasn't where my talents were. I thought, my talent is more in the one on one, more spending more time with my patients. And I picked the hybrid. I ended up transitioning into the freestanding ERs. Just imagine an emergency room that you know of, cut and then put in suburban America across the street from your home. And that's basically where I was working. And I created about 20 of these entities and had my own billing, my own staffing, my own culture, how I wanted patients to be treated. And to be honest, that was the best time in my life.
Yeah. So you were enjoying that season of your life. It wasn't like you were looking or soul searching for something different when you felt propelled to make the change. So that's kind of just, I think, mind boggling a little bit. A lot of times I find people are soul searching, like, I don't feel fit. I don't feel this. There's a unsettling, and then you seek change. But for you, it doesn't sound like it was that way at all.
No, to me, it's the greater purpose. Looking back in life, I thought God's kind of been transitioning me. At one point, it was the one on one medicine. Then it was my zip code in the sense that I had my one emergency room and I was helping the community. Then later it became all of Dallas. And then later I was expanding and helping other parts of Texas. And then now I feel like in my heart, I'm helping not just the US, but globally.
Yeah, you've definitely moved into a global a global level. You travel around mostly doing TED Talk speaking, is that correct?
Multiple things. Yes, I get to do my TEDx talks. I have 5 all on AI and healthcare. How can we use this for humanity? That, as a result, is literally getting me on different world stages from dermatology to pharmacy but it's all healthcare mainly. And now I work for a company called Phantom Space. We do rockets, data centers in space. And long story short, I'm helping come up with ideas. How can we leverage this technology for space, but to help humanity once we have that space AI healthcare sector to help improve healthcare on the planet?
Wow. So that's just incredible. Do you feel like your relationship with the Lord, like even on the TEDx stage, I saw one of them, you really kind of mentioned that, like you're so grateful to God. And I was like, I thought, I was like, you go, because that was one of the things that held me back, when I had the opportunity to do it. I was like, no, I really I'm such a strong believer and very vocal about that. But you have found a way to incorporate that into, you haven't lost that, right? You've incorporated it into where you've gone. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Has there been any controversy about that, or has that just been a smooth ride for you?
There's definitely been controversy, and I've been having to be careful on the both sides of the spectrum. A couple of months ago, a healthcare system that was owned by the Catholic Church asked me to be their keynote speaker. And so that was interesting because they also gave me guardrails of what I could say and not say. So it was interesting. But big picture, I give all the glory to God. I just feel like God gave me all these gifts, and those gifts are from God, and it's to honor God. And I don't see it as gifts to help me financially. It's more God gave me these gifts to help humanity. And indirectly, as a result, I have been able to get other gifts, and some of them have been financial, but that's not the driving force at all. I always, no matter who I meet, and it's interesting, some people are like, oh, you need to own this. And I'm like, Yes, I own it, but only through God I own it, not through Harvey Castro. I own it because God gave me the grace and gave me the tools to serve.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what would you say is the driving force? You said that's not the only driving force. Financial is not your only driving force. What would you say you feel like your driving force is?
Honestly, my driving force is the passion to serve. And I know that sounds kind of cliche ish, but as a physician, as a healthcare person that loves people, that's really my driving force. To me, to say I help save a life or help improve someone's health, to me, that's gold. Often, I even try not even to take credit. I'm just like, look, go with it. Here's an idea. Just do it. Let's go. I'll help you. Because at the end of the day, to me, it's not that finance. It's like, hey, I helped someone. Hey, I served someone. And to me, that's my reward. Recently, my son called me out. He's like, Dad, why'd you give away XYZ? And I said, son, ideas are given to me by God. And those God ideas, if I keep them in my head and I'm selfish, and I want money for them, then it doesn't go out to the world. But if I gift them to the world, if I give them to a big corporation, if I say, here, world, take this idea and take it to the next level, then my reward is helping humanity. And if I don't get any financial from it, that's fine because the way I see it in my heart is I helped, I delivered, I'm serving God. And that has more value than a piece of paper saying, here's for your idea.
Right, because in essence, that's what you're saying is the exchange is not really the service anymore. It became about a transaction. And ultimately, I always say the world sees love as a transaction often, and that's not actually at all what God views as love. It's very sacrificial. It's a one-way ticket. It's no strings attached. God loves us whether we receive him or not. And I think that's one of the biggest differentials. So I really appreciate you sharing that because it's very true. And I think I've even a little bit struggled with that on the business end. You know, it's kind of like a lot of people will come and say, will you do this and will you do that? And it's like, oh, and so you have to make that decision. So I love that you shared that with everyone because that's the roots of it. So for you, your role has changed. Do you miss being with the one-on-one with the patient at all, or do you just appreciate where you're going and look forward?
Yeah. I do a tiny telemedicine so I can keep my license going, but in my heart, I do miss being in the emergency room when seconds count to be able to help, to be able to console, to pray for my patients when they're really in bad situations because of that emergency. I do miss that in all my heart. With that said, as I'm getting older and older, I feel like those days I don't have the energy that to go 30 hours straight. I hate not sleeping now. I actually love my sleep. When I was younger, I was like, who cares? Keep going. Now it's another toll. And then I never realized this. In my heart, I was giving so much. And I'll give you a quick example. There was a homeless person in Parkland Hospital in Dallas, Texas, that came to me and gave me the biggest compliment. He's like, you're not like all the other doctors that I have personally had. You care about me. You're loving on me. You want me to do well. And it's like, no one here cares about me. And I really hit me hard. I was like, that made me sad, but at the same time, happy that I gave that interaction, that I gave him the energy, that I prayed for him, that I was giving to him. And my point with that is now I feel like I'm doing it on a global stage in the sense that I'm helping an AI company, and I call them an AI company, a space company, to use their technology for the planet. I'm in circles where I feel blessed that I'm able to speak and help and leverage AI in healthcare to help organizations and countries like Singapore to take it to the next level. So I feel like I'm still serving and I'm getting
Yes.
to sleep now, which is kind of funny, which is kind of small, but to me, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I love that. Has traveling and being around diverse audiences, what has that taught you? Because you've really been about so much diversity now that you're on a global level. Can you recall anything that really impacted you about those different environments and what that's taught you?
Yeah, I'm trying to teach this to my child, and I call my child, he's 22. It's the one I'm thinking of, Zach. It's hard because how do you teach someone culture? I grew up in New York City in the melting pot. I grew up with all my friends of different cultures. I remember going to Chinese New Year and getting envelopes from grandma she moved from China. I remember eating with different cultures and I learned so much that I think it was God's way of preparing me to serve the world. Now that I'm older, and I'm traveling, the same thing is happening. I'm seeing how people appreciate life. I'm seeing how they don't care if the Wi-Fi is gone. They don't care if they have no electricity. They don't care if they don't have hot water. They
Mhm.
love being happy and being in the cultures. And in January, I was in Jordan and I was invited into someone's home, and they made a traditional Jordan meal, and it was very humble. And it was just exciting to meet everyone at that table, how they see life, how they appreciate the breath of every single hour. And I thought, you know what? I try to be humble. I try, but then seeing that gave me perspective to say, wow, God, thank you for everything, even down to the small things that maybe I neglected before. And so being able to travel has opened my horizons, has opened the way I see life, has helped me on a healthcare side to say, okay, this community has to be served this way, but this other community has to be served that way. And God's been putting amazing leaders in my life. 2 weeks ago, I met the Queen of Congo, and we had some really interesting conversations. And I told her, I go, hey, if I could help leverage AI in healthcare to help your country, let me know. Because this is what makes me excited. This is why God gave me these gifts. Again, not for me, it's really to give.
Mhm, mhm. That's incredible. That's incredible. So, have you had any resistance like earlier that now you're on the other side of it is gone? Or were people supportive of you before you made this life change, career path change, I should say?
Yeah. I chuckle in my head because I have been kind of stubborn in the sense that back in the day when the freestanding emergency room was a concept, people were telling me, like, Harvey, do not do this. This is career suicide. You are going to regret this. And in my heart, I had passion and I thought, God, guide me. Is this the right thing or not? And I went for it. And I'm glad I did because it changed my life personally. And I was able to help so many people. Fast forward, this simple book of ChatGPT Healthcare, I had the book written. I had done it within 2 weeks. I had it ready to publish. And close friends were like, Harvey, you are committing professional suicide. What if this thing is something bad? What if you're putting your name behind something that's not right? But in my heart, I thought, no, this is going to help humanity. This is going to help people. If it saves one single life or improves things, it just has to be guided right. And I'm a physician and I know how this works. And I've owned emergency rooms, I've owned hospitals. Let me figure out a way to take it to the next level. And it's paid off. Again, not financially, but in what it's giving back to the world. So in my heart, I'm like, no, I have been getting resistance. I have been told, like, Harvey, you're doing the wrong thing here. But in my heart, I've been praying about it. I'm like, no, this is the right thing. This is going to go the way I think it's going to go.
Yeah, so I know the other day mentioned a beautiful post, and he wrote the human factor. We are created exactly who we're supposed to be. And that boldness or that tenacity or that inner fight that a lot of people will come into your path and be like, no, 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 no. That's maybe their fears, but identity wise, you were molded, right? From your birth really to create the calling that you're doing now. And all of us are. It's not just the two of us talking. So for all the audience listening, I think that's one of the attacks really on our life is to hold us back from propelling those dreams. So it's really being linear in your relationship with the Lord and following that over anybody else's voice. And so you did that very, very well. And I encourage that, right, for everybody listening as well, because we all have something we're supposed to be creating and giving back to the world. This is once a dream and is now a reality. Has there been any moments like that for you?
Yeah, there are multiple, so many. One, a couple of years ago, I was invited to speak in front of the Texas Medical Association. They made me the keynote speaker. And I'm sitting there and I was about to take stage, and a US congressman had just spoken and I had to follow him. And then I look into the crowd and there was about 1,500 physicians of Texas. And I thought, my gosh, Lord, thank you. What an honor. I'm about to speak to physicians. And I'm following a US congressman, and the Texas Medical Association is right there on stage with me because they had the panel right behind me as I spoke. And I thought, wow, what a privilege. What an honor. And fast forward, I served to the Ministry of Health in Singapore, to the government. And I remember sitting down thinking, I'm in front of the whole government. I am influencing, I am giving ideas. And I thought, what an honor to be able to be here to just spread the word and my faith and say what I feel. and say it with passion and say it how I feel it. And I thought, what an honor. Like, what a true, true honor for me.
Were there any roadblocks along the way in this journey that you weren't sure? You kind of had to waffle back and forth about, is this the right path or not the right path? And if so, how did you feel like you came to the right decision? What tools did you use to come to the right decision?
Yeah, throughout my career, there's been multiple crossroads where I thought, do I take this opportunity? Do I not? What do I do? And sometimes some of those choices, I felt like they weren't by me. They're like, maybe an organization wanted it and I didn't agree with them. So in my heart, was like, I'm leaving just because I can't follow what they're doing because in my heart, I don't see it the same. And every single time, I know this sounds odd, and I know this is a conversation we're having, but I've always said, "Oh God, like show me the way, give me some signs, help me make that decision. And if nothing is evident right now, then please clear that path in the future so that I know I made that the right decision or not." But I've
Mm,
always held to the core values of do what you think is the right thing. Do how you feel in your heart. Let's just call it the Holy Spirit leads you,
mhm,
and if you go down fighting, then maybe you went down because of the things of the world, not because of God, in the sense that maybe the world was
mhm,
against you, but in your heart, you were still following the right thing. You were following your passion. You were following the right principles. And if it didn't pan out the way the world would say it panned out, then ask yourself, did it pan out the way God would want you to do it?
I love that. I love that. How do you think AI, I think one of the concerns is how do you feel like AI and medicine can still reach that human factor? That's probably a question you get a lot, but I think it's the greatest concern of patients losing that human connection to AI.
Yeah, good question. I see it as two poles. On one side, there's the human side, and that's the passion and the part that you want. The reason you see your physician is that human touch, is that spiritual. Maybe your doctor prays for you, maybe they love on you. Now, if the AI were to remove that and it's just the AI that it's cold, it's very black and white and not going to love on you and pray on you, then no one wants that. But in my heart, I see it as human plus AI. Take my mannerisms, my emotion, my sharing, and then now leverage AI in the sense that I can say, hey, there's some predictive analytics based on your voice. I know you're pre diabetic. Based on the AI, I just saw you walk into the room. It's telling me that you'll have Parkinson's in 5 years. And it's also catching on your voice that you're going to have lung cancer in 2. And so now I have the tools to better serve you. Now I see what I can't see, hear what I can't hear. And now I elevate to another level that I'm like, hey, here's the compassionate Harvey. I'm taking all this data, years of experience, my clinical gestalt, putting it together and saying, hey, the empathetic side, here's how it comes. And so I'm calling it human plus AI. Let's use both, but let me manage it. Let me have the trump card for AI. And let me analyze when I think maybe this AI is hallucinating, maybe it's wrong, but that's the future. And I feel like that is the best serving our patients. And so what's going to be interesting, I see two sides of this. I see some physicians will fight it. And then I say some physicians will be like me that will understand it and really ensure that it's the best way of caring for our patients. And fast forward, patients are going to be like, who do I want? Do I want one that will not use this or I want one that knows how to use it? And that's going to be quite interesting in the future as we start seeing that happening.
Mhm. What can people look forward to as far as the future of medicines concerning AI? Like, what can we expect down the road? As like, I'm in my house and I'm just not feeling well. Like, what is the
Yeah.
probability there I can get help?
Yeah. So I've been personally working on something called a digital twin. Basically, Harvey on a digital side. What are my genetics? What are my wearables saying? And I see the future as a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach, meaning most of us, especially men, tend to go to the emergency room when it's unfortunately too late or when things are really, really late to the point where you are having the heart attack, you are in a bad state, as opposed to proactive, where before you have heart conditions, before you have that heart attack, the wearable is telling you, hey, you haven't slept. Hey, you need to start walking. Hey, stand up and stretch. I'll give you a quick story. Have a lot of data analytics. I have a private server in my home that analyzes everything. And fast forward, I was going hard for about 2 months, really hard. And I knew in my heart, I'm like, Harvey, you need to slow down. I was on a flight a couple weeks ago to Portugal to go speak from Boston because I had given a talk in Boston. And the I have a link to my phone, send me a text saying, Harvey, you haven't slept. I'm seeing downward trends. You're literally aging yourself. And health wise, I do not recommend you going on a flight in 3 hours from now. Reschedule. There's a flight in the morning and go to Portugal in that morning. You can still make your talk. And I was blown away by the text. I started laughing. I was like, whoa. But the thing is this, it's warning me. My favorite phrase is, we don't know what we don't know. So in the future, I see this as a possibility for all of us to have our own healthcare advisor telling us, hey, XYZ. And I think that is going to be the proactive approach of healthcare. And it is here and it's coming quickly.
That's exciting. Yeah, I'm very much into proactive versus reactive. If it's reactive, it's really too late. It's too late. So we really do need to shift that mindset. It's exciting to see that coming. How do you ensure, like you mentioned earlier, going into different cultures and different communities, AI is going to be global. And so not everyone is going to practice medicine or receive medicine the same way. Are there talks about how to navigate that space for people?
Blessed in that I'm teaching physicians how to leverage AI. And to your point, let's flip it on its head. What if AI told me, the physician, culturally how to speak to a woman? How to speak a woman in India, how to speak to someone in Africa. Generically seems like it's the same, but no, there's different cultures, there's different mannerisms, there's different ways. I know it seems odd in the United States, but in some cultures, the culture does not want you speaking to a woman. They want you to speak to the man, then the man speaks to the woman. And regardless of how you feel about it, that's the culture. But if you start doing things that, and I want you to understand this part, if me as a physician and I'm trying to help you, but I'm breaking the culture and I'm not doing it right, then am I helping you not financially, am I helping your healthcare? Am I truly helping you? Because if you have a cultural barrier that I cannot speak to and I'm breaking it, and I instead use it the right way, and I use a way of healthcare that is using AI to make me culturally sensitive, better bedside, better ways of speaking. Yeah. The way I see it as follows, I'm blessed to be working in AI healthcare with physicians. And let's turn it on its head. If a physician doesn't have the best bedside manners, why not leverage AI to help evaluate that physician and say, hey, when you speak about cancer, when you're giving bad news, use these adjectives, use these nouns, use these verbs, sit down, move your hands in such a way that is showing transparency. Other cultures around the
Mm,
world, there's weird things in for us, the United States, because we can't see it. For example, I know this is going to sound harsh. There's certain cultures that you're not allowed to speak to a woman. You have to speak to a man, and then the man communicates it to the woman. And my point is this: if there's a cultural barrier where I cannot communicate with my patient, then why not leverage AI to educate me to say, hey, this is how you get to that person? Because at the end of the day, what's it about? It's about serving, about helping that patient. But if I am stuck in
mhm.
culture and I don't know what I don't know and I'm hurting the patient and not realizing it, then why not bring in AI to make me aware of these cultural changes, to make me aware of examples? Quick example, we're seeing the World Cup, everybody's saying soccer, the rest of the world calls it football. If I take a European and I tell them about an example and I use NFL football as an example, they're going to be like, I have no idea what you just said. Zero. But if I leverage AI to give me a
Mm.
soccer example, something to their zip code or their part of their European values, and I say it through AI, they're going to be like, huh, I get it. I will take my medicine now. I see what you're trying to say. And I know that sounds minor, but it does make a huge difference.
Yeah, I would think it would make a very large difference. Do you feel like amongst physicians, where do you feel like the physicians on one camp are saying, yes, we like are seeing good things in AI, and then there's probably a second camp of like pushing back against AI. So, what can you share about what you've received as far as both camps are concerned? I would imagine it would be pretty divided.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good question. The rate limiting step
Mm,
of this technology is trust. And then how do we change that trust? Because that really becomes culture, is, in my opinion, through education. And so when I meet
mm,
physicians from all over the world, I see the different resistance. based on their culture. But when I dissect it down, it boils down to trust. And so my favorite example to all of them,
Mm,
and I'll say it to the crowd, is I want everyone out there to think of the first time they heard of AI and then the first time they used ChatGPT or whatever AI they use, and then compare that moment and their thoughts to how they use it today, how they're leveraging, and what they've learned. What has changed is
mhm,
education and culture. Now it's being more accepted. So, in the physician world, my job has been to, I know their culture of being a physician because I'm a physician, and then combine that with what I understand of AI, and then enlighten them how they can help their patients, how they can improve their practice. And that has been my niche of how to get to them so that they see how they can help. One of my favorite TEDx talks is I talk about the five senses and how AI can improve your senses. And by improving your senses as a physician, can help you deliver better care. And the only reason I mention it to you is because I would love for people to see it because you'll see what I'm talking about. And I just think it's where the future is headed.
yeah. I mean, I agree. What about kind of the older populace who's concerned about their medical privacy? People who, they're having a hard time with computers and
Excellent
phones and
question.
Facebook and social media. Mm.
Of course. Yeah. No, I agree. And you and I know very well. We could be talking about, I don't know, vacation in Ireland, and all of a sudden we get all these ads that are going to at Ireland, and we're like, who heard us talking? Or the Alexa is like squealing on us, like, what's going on? Where's my privacy? The nice thing about healthcare, we have HIPAA laws, we have the GDPR, we have things to protect us. And so that's good because I see it as guardrails for things to be used in AI. And so to answer your question, there are already some things set and simple things like if I were to violate a HIPAA law, no insurance company pays for it. I have to pay for it. And depending on how bad it is, it could get really, really severe for me. And so, with that said, I feel like those guardrails are in place. Now, let's play along the rules of engagement and let's do it right to help humans. And I think for me personally, is how can I educate those individuals that are fighting it? How can I show them both sides? I'll share a quick story. My mom's retired. Her birthday's actually today. I'll have her listen to this. So happy birthday,
Aw.
mom. And about a year ago to the day, she was in this kitchen with me. We were talking, and all of a sudden we hear this big crash in the bathroom. So I go running in there, and I had a a shower, and it just shattered, spontaneous. My mother, who is retired, said, Harvey, take pictures of every angle of that bathroom, every angle of the floor, and the shattered glass, upload it to AI, and ask it, how did this happen? And it gave me the answer. Basically, it was a hot day, and I had an AC a fan running because I had just painted the bathroom and it caused shearing forces to shatter the glass. But my point is this, if my mother, who is retired, is leveraging AI to that point and it's helping her health, and I know, and literally we talked about it today, how can she leverage this to help herself? And obviously, I'm helping her with the healthcare part as well. Then in my heart, she will have a better quality of life and she will live longer. Obviously, she's running a lot of the AI output to me and I can help her, but we're leveraging it together. And I'm thinking, this is huge.
Yeah, so she's seeing the fruits of all of that. I know you mentioned you have your digital twin. How does that work? How does your digital twin work? In the essence of how are you utilizing it for your health?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I have it set to send me text of my health, just check ins, how much I slept, how much I walked. This morning, I got a text to remind me to take my vitamins. It's interesting. It's even applauding me when I get extra sleep. Say, hey, this is your parameters, and look, you actually slept longer, and look, your heart rate is showing it. It's interesting. It's even telling me, hey, you need to drink a little bit more water. I know it seems invasive for a lot of people, but as a physician, I'm fine with it because I'm giving it guardrails. I'm telling it what it can say and not say. And I'm personally trying to create a mini Jarvis so that it's looking after my health. And I'm enjoying it. I really am. And again, I know it's kind of big brotherish, but for me, since I have it in an enclosed system, it's not going to ChatGPT. I have my own mini AI, all my own servers that it's never leaving into a cloud and it's processing and it's helping me. And I'm really big on longevity. I have another AI agent that's going out looking at all the FDA approvals, all the clinical research, and then it gives me a cocktail of what it thinks I need to do. And it sends me a report every week on what's the latest and greatest so that I can take care of myself so that I can hopefully be there for my great grandkids one day.
Yes. And you really have improved your health with this technology that you created, right? It's substantially not just monitoring the basic needs, but it's actually shown to be very effective for you.
Yeah. No, it has. It's been great. And I'm literally been working on a website that I'll release here in about 2 weeks, but it's basically taking because of the FDA approval of medical device, I have to be very careful that I don't release something that looks like a medical device. And so, big picture, I've created something where you can take a picture of yourself and it tells you your heart rate variability to know for wellness part how well you're doing. Before you and I took this stage, let's say, we could, in theory, I could have given you this website and you could talk to it and it would see if your voice is ready to speak or if you need to do some breathing exercise or if you're too anxious or not. And then this was more of a fun thing. My mom loves astrology and my friends do. So I added an astrology piece that gives you everything. Like if you're really into it, like you just put in your birthday, date of place, and it just gives you all of this information for astrology specific to you. So I'm having fun with that. And obviously I'm doing it for the professional side, you and Myers-Briggs and other characteristics so that you can look at it. So it's kind of fun. I'm just having fun creating these products.
Yes. So, as far as someone today, what wearables, if someone was listening to this today and they're coming across this podcast and they're like, I'm just curious on what are some of the best AI tools that I can use today for myself? What good tools are currently on the market? You're wearing the
Yeah.
Aura ring, I
So
think.
that's a hard question. And again, it depends. I personally like whatever wearable is that you're going to use. I like the Whoop, but I really like the Aura because it charges for a week. It does things. It's simple. You wear it and you can forget about it. Whereas this, I don't like jewelry in general. So this to me seems nicer, but it's the one that you will use the most. I know my son loves the Whoop and I like it too because of the workout portions, but for every day it's this. Now, the AI healthcare part, I really focus on doctors to help their patients. Now, on the patient side, I will caution patients to be careful because in some parts of the world, you can just walk up to a pharmacy, get any drug, and you're self diagnosing, and it's a mess because what if the AI is hallucinating? To me, I always say play it safe, especially with your health. If you want to use any of the AIs, then whatever output it gives you, make sure you run it by your physician or healthcare professional team so that they see it and like, yes, I agree or I don't, because I worry if it kills one person or hurts someone, it's doing bad. But I say human plus AI, bring in the human expert, which is the physician or the healthcare professional plus the AI, and I think will get really far with our health.
Yeah. When do you think we should expect to really see this become integrated in our lives in the next year or the next 5 years or 10 years from now?
Great question. My answer is it depends. And I don't want to sound like a politician. It depends on the culture. So there's some cultures like the United Emirates, Singapore, that they're really embracing this. And again, it becomes this kind of weird dichotomy. I'll give you a quick example. Singapore, they have the genetics of every single person in Singapore. They have their AI retina scan of every person. So that sounds big brotherish. Will we have that in the United States? I don't see that happening anytime soon. But on the healthcare side, why is it good? It's because now they're looking for individuals that may have heart attacks in their 20s and they're able to analyze them and have their physicians start them on medications in their teens so that they don't have a heart attack in their 20s so that they live longer. And so my thing is we will start seeing some rapid things in the next 24 months, but it'll be in other countries. In my opinion, I call it FOMO. People here in the United States can be like, why is Singapore have this and we don't? Why does the United Emirates have this and we don't? And I think our legislators are going to say, you know what? We need to change the laws. We need to create differently. And I really think it's going to change things. So, in my opinion, I see the next 5 years happening here in the US, but we'll see outside the US first before we see it here.
Mm, I have a curveball question to you. And it's coming to me because it's a real life experience that I'm having. So I have a friend who gave blood and she was approached through social media. Has she ever considered being a kidney donor by a family member who was looking for a kidney? She, in essence, chose to become a living donor. So she's now recovering. She did donate her kidney. Um, and she was not a match to the person who was asking, but she was a match to somebody else, which moved the person who needed it or reached out, the family, to the next level, and they were able to receive the life-giving new kidney as well. So it was a beautiful story kind of double dipping on kind of saving two lives, right? Um, if AI comes, and this is my question to you, and it says, "Oh, Carrie, you're a match. We need you to start pressurizing me to give my kidney to somebody else because I'm a match." Or somebody else needs this. Somebody needs my bone marrow. Will we feel pressurized to donate because AI will start to see where there are matches available? Um, that just comes to mind. Like that could be something where, because you would start to see where genetic matches are, or the possibility to help people could come into play. And what that kind of looks like. That's a whole nother field of questions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one because we don't know what we don't know. If the AI
Right.
can have, I hate calling it a higher IQ, but a better way of convincing you, then can it be used to manipulate you? Can it be used? Because we're hearing stories, unfortunately, of kids using an AI bot and taking their own life because they were talking to the bot, and one of the bots was like, yeah, just kill yourself. Where no human would ever do that. No physician would ever do that. And so my point is this, it's a
Right.
double-edged sword. Yes, it can help, but what if it's used to manipulate? What if AI company X is able to use it to manipulate because they're going to make more money off of you, and and it requires you to donate your kidney? And so it's bad. But with that said, again, in my heart, if you can do it the right way, if you could put the right guardrails, if you could do it ethically and help another human being, then yes, leverage it. But if you're going to leverage it for
Mhm.
financial reasons and manipulation reasons and you're going to hurt people, then no. And that's where I'm happy to be out there in the world saying, hey, let's use it this way. And I have been warned by friends like, Harvey, you know, you are a target. You know, if someone hates AI and loses their job, they're going to come after you. And I'm like, you know what? My faith is help humanity. Hopefully that person sees my angle is more on the other side of AI. And if they don't, and that's how it
Mm.
is, then God just protect me.
Yeah, I agree. I think these are good conversations to have because even though one could see the negative, there is the great positive, and you certainly are a person who is giving that and bringing that into the world. So, for viewers who are listening, I would say this is a great thing for us to be able to see such a kind and serving heart, and that does build our trust in medicine and AI because it most likely will happen regardless, because that's just how life is going to go. And so it is kind of I would say, a call for other people with the right hearts and intentions and the safe guardrails to come into place to do it with the right ethics and morality for humanity. Yeah. If you could leave just kind of a short message to someone who is feeling like they're created to do more, but there's resistance, what would you say to that individual who's kind of struggling with wanting to do something bigger, but kind of holding on to the way the world or their current life is? They have that seesaw of change in their life's journey. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. Two things. Number one, make sure that you're passionate about it and do it because you are passionate, and make sure you're following the right God, meaning don't follow the God of money, don't follow the God of greed or any of those things. Follow the God of God. And
Amen.
two, make sure you obviously pray about it, but make sure you surround yourself in the right community, meaning make sure you find ideally people of the same yoke and people that can guide you spiritually. Reach out to your spiritual leaders with this big decision because you want to make sure you're following the right passion and you're following your heart. And then you have that community of the right elders around you to guide you, to give you what you don't know, to make sure that that path is the correct path. And if all aligns, then follow it with your heart and pray about it.
All right. That's awesome. Well said. How can we support you, and where can everyone find you to support your journey?
Appreciate it. My website is Harvey Castro D as in medicaldoctor.com. And all my social media, whatever social media you use, is Harvey Castro MD. So LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, like Facebook, all of that. So that'd be great if you could follow me. And I'm always putting little blurbs on how to use AI or how we can help. And in the next couple of weeks, once I have my website ready, this other website I was telling you, I'm going to launch it, and hopefully you guys can support me there. Oh, and I always forget, on Amazon, just type in Harvey Castro MD. I have all these interesting angles to AI and healthcare, but just AI in general. And look at the books I wrote, especially this year. I think next level. But I'm biased when I say that.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to share this with everyone. And thank you again so much for your time. And we'll say goodbye to everybody. And you guys know where to find Harvey. And thank you again so much.
Thank you.